a hand. Let's clap it up for a second. Let's clap it up. Let's look alive. Come on, check it out. Come on. Let's look alive. All right, you got this, all right? All right? Are you with me or what? You here? Is everybody awake? You feel good? All right. Okay, now there we go. All right. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you came. High five somebody. Tell them you're glad to see them. Tell them you're glad that they're here. And just kill me if it looks too different and sounds too different, because, well, that's what you get when you come here. You get something different every week. And anyway, do you before I get ahead of myself, I took some notes this week, and I'm going to try to stick to them because they're important. And I say that every week. So, first, there was something in the, hang on. Do you ever feel distracted? Do you ever get distracted? Wow. Okay. I gotta do that. I gotta take this. There. Yeah. Do you ever get in the middle of doing something and it's this phone. God. Do you ever feel distracted? Do you ever get distracted? Do you ever feel like you're getting pulled in so many different directions? Gosh, dang it. Hang on. Hey, I can't talk right now. I'll call you back. Okay, I got this, there's just so much going on, and, we're great at multitasking, right? We're great at it. Hang on, let me get to this. I'm definitely not answering that one. Ditch that one. Okay. All right, we're good. Back. There was this, I'm trying to think, in the Middle Age European era, there was this torture method that the French named it death by distraction. And it was where they tie your limbs to 4 different horses, and they would basically pull you apart. And I know that's rough. But how many times does our day get pulled completely apart? Does our mind get tortured and pulled completely apart by all the distractions, all the different things going on? You see, I actually I told people to text me and call me as I got started so you could understand. See, we think we're great at multitasking, but we're not. We're not. We're terrible at it because we think we can do more than one thing, but our mind is not designed that way. Our mind is designed to take care of one thing at a time. But we often get so messed up because how many of you actually sit down and have dinner as a family? At least once a week. Yeah, every once in a while. That was one thing I always wanted to make sure we did. I always wanted to make sure we at least had dinner together and talk about our day. What did you learn today? What happened at school? What did you do? What happened? What was going on? Now, we may pick it up at Sonic, but we at least come home and eat dinner together. But anyway, now I just, have conversations with myself and stuff. So, I want to think about that because, see, if you study through Jesus, if you study the life of Jesus, he constantly had people trying to distract him. People asking him questions, trying to incriminate him, throw him off. Even Peter. I relate to Peter. Because Peter had his idea in front of God's will. And Jesus told him, "Get behind me, Satan." I don't imagine that made him feel very good. I could be wrong. Do you see what I'm getting at here? See, there's this, I found it really, really odd that the French called this torture method distraction. And it was death by distraction. But how many times do we, does our day get murdered by all the distractions that go on? Our lives get pulled so many different directions all the time. When I didn't realize what I was getting myself into when I became a pastor, because I thought it'd be easy. Because you could just work a few hours on the weekend and you got it, right? That's what it looked like sometimes. That's how it seemed, you know. But no, now you got to hear all the mess that goes on behind the scenes and all the, different things that everybody's offended by and everybody's hurt by and everybody's mad at and all the different problems that goes on throughout our life and daily life, and so I found myself I wasn't prepared for that, because I found myself, my mind started just going all kinds of different directions on all kinds of different things, and it stole my focus. And I had to step back and realize, whoa, where did I get off track? So I'm going to read a story to you today. We're in Matthew 13. I've done this message before, and it was several years ago. I don't know if anybody was here or not then, but this message is called Death by Distractions. And it's one of my favorite messages. I got it from Furtick. I'll admit I stole it. But it's one of my favorite messages. And when I heard it the first time, it made so much sense to me. And it changed the way I thought about stuff and the way I did stuff and everything. So I hope that it will relate to you and you'll get something because it goes kind of deep and it means a lot. So anyway, we're in Matthew 13 here, and it's the parable of the farmer scattering seed is what it says in my Bible. I don't know if it says the same thing in your Bible or not. Anyway, so Matthew 13 says, later that same day, Jesus left the house and sat beside the lake. And here's how my OCD and whatever else works. When I start reading, I get jacked up when I see later that same day, because I start thinking, well, what the heck happened earlier that day then? What did I miss, I feel like I just started the movie in the middle or something. So then I go back searching, and here's something else. When I start reading, if I don't start reading at the beginning of the chapter, my mind just gets all kinds of messed up. I can't just flip open somewhere and start reading. And so, I've got the first few chapters of Genesis down, because I always feel like I have to start at the beginning. I can't just start in the middle. Does anybody else have that issue? Oh my gosh, it'll drive me crazy. I'll feel like the other day I felt like there was something in 2 Timothy, and I don't know. And so I opened up 2 Timothy where I felt like I was supposed to turn to, and I started reading, and my mind could not get past, you didn't start at the beginning, you didn't start at the beginning, you didn't start at the beginning, you got to go back and start at the beginning, you're missing something. God! How many of you are completely distracted now? Totally forgot what I was talking about. That's how it works. That's how quick the enemy jumps in and snatches out what we're trying to do, what we're trying to hear, what we're trying to accomplish, or what God's trying to show us. So later that same day, Jesus left the house and sat beside the lake. A large crowd soon gathered around him, so he got into a boat. Then he sat there and taught as the people stood on the shore. He told many stories in the form of parables, such as this one. Listen, a farmer went out to plant some seeds. He scattered them across the field. And I like that. He scattered them across the field. Your life ever feel scattered? Every day. He scattered them across the field. The seeds fell on a footpath, and the birds came and ate them. Other seeds fell on shallow soil with underlying rock. The seeds sprouted up quickly because the soil was shallow, but the plants soon wilted under the hot sun. And since they didn't have deep roots, they died. Ooh, deep roots. Other seeds fell among the thorns that grew up and choked out. Well, hang on. Let me back up. Okay. I had a thought. Okay. All right. Other seeds fell. See, that's how fast it happens. Sometimes it's good. But sometimes our phone rings. Other seeds fell among the thorns that grew up and choked out the tender plants. Still, other seeds fell on the fertile soil, and they produced a crop that was 30, 60, and even 100 times as much as had been planted. Anyone with ears to hear should listen and understand. I guess I can stop there. So here we go. We have 4 things here. We have 4 things, and I'm going to have to follow my notes really closely because if not, I'll get these mixed up and I'll get distracted and I'll start talking about one thing when I was trying to talk about another thing. So I'm going to hold my notes for a change. Is that all right? Yeah. You mad at me? Yes. Sam doesn't count for anything, just so you know. We live in an age to where everything is a distraction. Everything we do, everything becomes a distraction. We can't keep our eyes focused on the blessing of Jesus because we're already thinking about lunch. We're already thinking about lunch. We're already thinking about the things we got to do when we get home. We're already thinking about all the things we've got to get accomplished. We got to get the kids to soccer, or we got to get the yard mowed, or we've got to, take someone to wherever. And you see what I'm saying? Like how many times do we come into church and like the whole time our mind is just running on other things? And John 10:10, you don't have to turn here or whatever, but Jesus says the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Or steal, kill, and destroy. Whichever. Kill, steal, kill. He doesn't come to rob you at gunpoint. He comes to throw up little distractions in your life all day, every day. He doesn't have to defeat us, because if he can throw up the right distractions, we'll defeat ourselves, and we will destroy our own day. My first point is going to be the birds came and ate them. Snatched. Some versions say snatched. Snatched them up. Snatched up the seed. Snatched. How many times do we come to church? We'll get up, we'll feel good, we get ready, and on the way, something happens, and all of a sudden, snatched. Our joy is snatched. Now we're running late. Now we're mad. Now we're ticked off. Now we're blaming our kids. Sam texted me this morning, I'm running late because of my kids. I'm just playing, it's okay. We all run late. Some of us run late every time. I haven't figured that one out yet, but hey. Or we walk in the door and someone says something or doesn't say something, and now our mind has already changed gears to something else. Or I don't like the songs they play. The music's too loud. Snatched. See, we even come into church, we step foot in here, and we get so offended by what someone says or what someone's doing or what someone did last week or last night or what someone's wearing or what they're talking about in the hall or what, and then we get wrapped up in that, and guess what? The enemy just snatched your worship service. He just took everything that you came in here to get. And now your mind is jacked. You can't get past anything because now your mind is so distracted on the other things of this world that have nothing to do with stepping into the presence of God. And we do it every day. We do it every day. Some of us wake up on time, some of us don't. And we'll get headed to work, and because the person in front of us won't drive 20 miles over the speed limit, we get ticked off. And our joy is snatched. It's taken. And then what? Then the rest of our day is jacked. We're ticked off, and we're frustrated. I got to stop and get ahead of myself. First page already. See, this parable is always explained that these four paths or whatever, these four soils are the types of people. But what if it's the four types of our heart? What if we can be all four in one day? We can start out good, but on the way to work, snatched. On our way to church, when we walk in the door, snatched. And then by 3 o'clock, it's really hit a high. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going? See, the enemy doesn't have to do anything to us. All he's got to do is throw up a little distraction, and we will destroy ourselves. Snatched. All week, last week, we had opportunities to love someone, disciple someone, and show someone the Jesus inside of you. But we couldn't because our Jesus got snatched. Because we're so concerned by what someone else is doing or saying to us or saying to someone else that we miss it. We miss it. Remember that seed? It's getting scattered all day long. All day long. How many opportunities do you think we miss a day? Hundreds. Tons. Because we get so caught up in this world and the things of this world, the patterns of this world that we talked about last week. Oh, it hurts. It hurts because we miss it every day. We say one thing, but we live and do something completely different, but we think we've got it. I don't get to do this anymore, but anyway. It's one thing to have dinner with your family. But if you're checking Facebook the whole time, during the day, you know where all your friends are and what they had for lunch, but you have no idea who your kids are hanging out with. We're too worried about being friends or what someone's doing that we went to high school with that we barely talked to then, but we follow them on Facebook and we like all their posts, but we don't spend the time with our kids to know who they're hanging out with or what they're doing or who they're going home with after school or who they are texting or following. I had to look at my own Facebook page. I share a lot of dumb stuff that don't benefit you whatsoever. Matter of fact, you may be dumber after reading it or seeing it. But I follow a lot of people that I love them, but the stuff they throw out there is not the stuff I need to see. It's not the stuff I need to read, because all it does is frustrate me, and I'm like, why would they post that? Why would they say that? Why are they showing that? And then my mind is somewhere else all day long. Snatched. Second part of this. The other seeds fell on shallow soil with underlying rock. The seeds sprouted quickly because the soil was shallow, but the plants soon wilted under the hot sun since they didn't have deep roots. They died. That's my favorite part. Deep roots. I get it. You love your kids, but stop letting them control your life. You can't let your kids decide whether or not you get up and go to church. You can't let your kids decide whether or not you're going to go to soccer or go to church. You know what? Because when they grow up, they're not going to have any roots to stand on, and so they're going to live the same jacked up life that everybody else is living. You've got to root your kids into something. You've got to show them some priorities. You've got to show them this is why we respect people. This is how we honor people. And this is why we put God first in our lives. This is why we put God first in our finances. We can't afford that this week. We have to make sure we take care of our finances properly. We have to tithe, and then we have to pay the bills. And so we don't have time. We don't have the money to go do some of the other stuff that we want to do. See, we don't understand that. We don't want to put God first. We say we do, but we don't, because we don't. We don't. We say we do, but we don't. Because we do it all the time. I'm just as guilty. I can't even head in the direction of Dallas or anywhere near without stopping at a Guitar Center. I know I don't need it. Or sushi. I can't leave Canton. I have to stop and get sushi. Shopping will destroy. I get it. We want to have nice stuff. I'm wearing the same thing over and over now. I've noticed that. And I need to update my wardrobe. I get that. But there are some things that I'm having to put first right now that take away the money on some of the other things that I want to spend money on. I actually love to shop. I love to get new clothes. But I'm terrible at it. Do you see? The roots, where's your roots? Where are you rooted? How are you rooted? I hope you understand what I'm saying. Because where we root ourselves is where we're also rooting our kids. And I see some stuff going on in our kids these days that I didn't have to worry about. I used to ride my bike all over the county. Sometimes we would wake up and we would go off on our bikes and do whatever and ride and just rob the convenience store and don't do that. I used to think that the drinks in the barrel were for free. So I just grab it and crack one open and have it. If you could reach it, it was for free. I didn't know that you had to pay for it. I was still pretty young. And I was riding my bike all over the town. But we can't do that now, because see, now you don't know what the kids are up to. Look, I was terrified. I knew not to do anything. Now, once I knew that it was wrong, I didn't do it. because I knew if I did, my dad would have my tail in. So I didn't do it. I didn't drink until I was 21. Because I could just see me being out at some pasture party, because it would be my dad to come out there and kick my tail in front of everybody. He wouldn't say, hey, you need to come home. He would just kick my tail right there, and then I'd have to face everybody the next day at school. Because my parents cared, and they rooted me in things that I understand now as an adult that I didn't understand as a child. They taught me what honor meant. They taught me what respect meant. And they taught me what respect for myself meant. So we got to make sure we're rooting our kids. See, I understand your kids love sports and all that, but the chances are of them going pro and saving your finances that way, I don't know how many kids it's worked out for, but from my experience, God stuck around a lot longer than those sports. I get it. I quit football when I was a junior, and I wish every day that I had that senior year back, because I would love to suit up and hit someone right square in the mouth. I would love it. It might hurt me a little bit more now, but I would love it. Where do we root ourselves, and how do we root ourselves? See, having root means having some priorities and setting some things straight in your life and breaking some old patterns and setting some new ones in place so that we can actually grow in the direction that God is trying to grow us. See, we can fight against the grain all day long, but until we get in line with God's will for us, we're never going to see it happen. We're missing opportunities every single day. The third one, the other seeds fell among the thorns and grew up and choked out the tender plants. Choked out. Choked out. Hang on. How many times does your worry choke out every opportunity you ever had? Because you're so worried about the things that might happen, that never happened, and you completely miss everything else that God had right in front of you. How many of you have the same worries that you did 5 years ago or 2 years ago? Still worried about the same thing? Can you think of something that you were just worried sick over a few years ago? Are you still worried about it? I don't even remember what I was worrying about yesterday. That worry will choke out every plan, every opportunity that God is putting right in front of you. And that worry turns into anxiety. That anxiety turns into a mess. And I've found that when I start to worry about things, that means I've taken my eye off of Jesus. I've taken my eye off of what God is doing and what He has for me and where He's taken me. And I've taken my trust out of Him. When I start worrying, I've taken my trust and placed it on someone else or myself and not in Him. And then my last point, I'm going to go ahead and get to this quick. It's going to be in Matthew 13:24, actually. And here it says, here's another story Jesus told. The kingdom of heaven is like a farmer who planted good seed in his field. But that night, as the workers slept, his enemy came and planted weeds among the wheat and slipped away. We think we've got it all figured out. But we don't. We don't. Or we wouldn't be pulled so many directions. We wouldn't be worrying ourselves sick over so many different things all at the same time. We think we've got it. We're asleep. We've been asleep. See, he said, the kingdom of heaven is like a farmer who planted good seed. See, God is He's scattering good seed, good opportunity, a good life, everything right in front of us all day. But that devil, that punk, he will slip in and he will throw up weeds to distract us all day long. And that's all he's got to do. He doesn't even have to do anything. All he's got to do is slip in a little distraction and we defeat ourselves and we have destroyed our day. We have destroyed every opportunity that we had. And I've got to say this. This is a quote from Furtick. Furtick's like one of my favorite guys, by the way, my favorite pastor, so just in case you don't know. Stop complaining about the opportunities and start paying attention to the soul. The soul is right here. Our heart. The soul is us. The soul is right here. Quit worrying about everybody else. Quit worrying about if the music's too loud, if he's not playing the right chords, if he sings terrible. Stop worrying about what someone's wearing, what someone's doing, and what they posted on Facebook last night or yesterday or last week, and we're still carrying it around. And what's in my heart? What can I fix in my heart? What kind of soul do I have going on right here? Because every one of those opportunities, every one of those distractions is an opportunity for you to love someone, disciple someone, and show someone the way that Jesus lived. Every one of those. But what we do is we turn it around and we let that punk start talking lies and start saying things, and we turn it around to frustration, aggravation, and just offense. And we're offended, and now we're ticked off, and now we totally missed the whole worship service because we were thinking about what someone else did, or what someone else, or this, or that, and this, and that. And not one time did we say, Jesus, I just need you right here, right now. I need your arms around me. Not once. We're so frustrated, and we're mad, and we're so distracted that we've killed our relationship. We've killed our worship experience. And it goes with every area of our life. Every single area of our life. Jesus had plenty of opportunities to get distracted, but he had one focus, and his focus was on the will of God and nothing else. Not even Peter could stand in his way. Peter chopped some dude's ear off. He was set on Jesus not dying. But see, Jesus could have saved himself on that cross. But see, he was more concerned about the will of God. He was too busy trying to save us instead of saving himself. And we think just the opposite. We've got to change the way we think. We've got to change the way we love. We've got to change the way we live. Do you get it? Do you see it? What would happen if we left today and we had conversations about what God is telling us instead of conversations about what he said, she said, or they did, or this, that, blah, 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 whatever? What if we actually talked about what we got today? What did God speak to me What did God speak to you? Oh, okay, yeah, I was hearing some of that too. I got some issues I got to work out too. Trust me. I've got things in my life that I've got to get worked out, that I've got to get figured out. God's taking me somewhere. He's showing me. Have you, here's the thing. We think that when we sit in a worship service that everybody should get the exact same experience. Have you ever been to a worship service and someone be bawling and crying and you're just like sitting there? I missed something. What happened? We're not all going to experience the same thing the same way at the same time. God is dealing with each and every individual life. And we're all headed somewhere, and He's taking us somewhere, and He's doing something with us. But we may not be holding hands all together, walking the same pace. Some of us fight against it a little harder. Some of us are a little bit more distracted than others. I get it. I'm pretty distracted. I was up here one Sunday and the steps were a little off and I couldn't think about anything else. They weren't in the center, and so I couldn't look at anything else. We all have issues. Don't just look at me. So that's my thing. My challenge to you this week, not just today, this week, is to look for opportunities that God is speaking to you. I wrote something. I'm going to share this real quick. I wasn't going to share it because I'm working on trying to turn this into a message, but it relates so close. And I wrote this a few weeks ago. I'm not sure exactly, and I shared it with a couple of people. And I'm just going to read it to you because I don't have it memorized. But I want to point something out to us real quick. It says, each day we go through our day planting little seeds all day long. We plant seeds as well. Do you realize that? Do you know that? We plant seeds also. Every encounter with every person, every action we make on our own, every little moment of life, we drop these little seeds all around us. Our choices, our decisions, our actions, our words, our thoughts. It goes on and on. We're dropping some sort of seed every day. Now, a seed can seem very insignificant at first, but that seed, once planted, will go through this radical transformation and it'll begin to grow. If cared for properly and treated right and loved right and rooted properly, that wasn't in there. Anyway, whatever this seed is of is what it will produce. As we go through our day, we plant little seeds of either life or death. All day long, we plant. We're scattering seeds ourselves. All day long, of either life or death. Either love or anger, or frustration, distractions. What seems like an ordinary day is actually a life. Is actually a life or death giving situation. Sorry. I didn't have this thing planned, but sin can also grow just like a seed. That weed will grow. It may seem innocent at first, but what about our thoughts? Let's take that for instance. Where did that negative, harmful thought come from? Where did that seed come from? Did it come from Jesus? Did that negative thought, did that offense, did that spirit of offense that we all of a sudden just got struck with, did it come from Jesus? See, what may start out as a negative thought may turn into frustration. Then that frustration turns into anger. And then what started as a simple seed has grown and now spreading other seeds because that anger can turn into hate. Then the hate into harmful thoughts. And now we may not ever even act on these thoughts, but what's happening is what seemed like something very insignificant has now spread into something extremely toxic. Then what if those feelings begin to fester? And then it starts to affect how we think about something or someone. Then we get the tongue involved. See, we had just the thoughts, and now we get the tongue involved. And now we're letting loose those thoughts. How we don't like someone, or how we don't like what they're doing, or what we don't like what they're posting. And now we're saying stuff that birthed out of what we call a little innocent thought. Do you see where that just went? And now we're saying stuff. Now we've begun to gossip and say hurtful and harmful things to or about someone. Now that simple little seed has spread all the way into someone else. Now you've messed their mind up. Now they're thinking something negative. Now there's, oh yeah, I see. Yeah, I don't like what they're doing either. You see, now all we're doing is just turning each other against each other. Now that seed dropped into someone else's life will start to do the same thing, and it'll go from there, and it'll spread, and it'll spread, and it'll spread, causing them the same toxins as it did you. Just like a weed, it will spread and grow, spread and grow. Our thoughts become attitudes, our attitudes become actions, actions speak life or death all day long, all around us. Do you get that? Your thoughts, these distractions, will play into your attitude throughout the day. Does this even make sense? Okay. Should I keep going? Okay. This is my point. I want you to think about this. When God was like downloading things to me, and like I almost couldn't type fast enough. So I don't know I know where it came from. It just like came straight from God, like speaking. But I don't know how, He speaks to me in weird ways because my mind works in weird ways. And so think about a receipt from the grocery store. Think about your receipt. Do you ever go to the grocery store and actually have a list, and you go and you buy all these items, and then they give you this receipt that is like just 10 miles long, it seems like, all this wasted paper and survey. You got to make sure you fill out the survey and all that. You know what I'm saying? Think about a receipt from the grocery store. It's this long piece of paper that details all the stuff that you bought, all the things you picked up off the shelf, all the aisles you went down, all the departments you visited, all the people you passed, all the people you smiled and gave a friendly gesture to, or all the people you ignored, avoided, or rolled your eyes at. See, that receipt's not just a receipt. That's a recap of all the opportunities that you took or missed. Or the person that you obviously could have helped reach something from the top shelf, but you didn't. You just turned and went the other direction. All the people that you huffed at because they were in your way, wouldn't check out fast enough. Do you see my point yet? Everywhere we go, we leave this little trail of seeds. Now, some of them may not directly affect other people, but they're going to affect your mind. But it can grow and fester inside of us and become the negative personality or attitude that ends up causing more damage down the road. Think about your receipt. Some of you are going to go shopping today. You have groceries that you got to go get today. See, we think that God's not working in our lives, but see, we're missing it. We're missing it. God's working in our life every day. Because when we go to the grocery store and we come home with that receipt, I want you to think back. All the aisles you visited, all the departments you visited, all the opportunities you visited, and you took it or left it. That hit me deep because I'm in stores every day. Ugh. And sometimes I feel like God tells me to fix something that's out of order. I don't want to fix it. I didn't do it. I didn't put it that way. Somebody may be watching that you don't know is watching. I said a while back, I couldn't go to Starbucks anymore. I was trying to dial back the Starbucks, which sounds weird anyway, like saying dial back the Christian or something. Almost doesn't make sense, huh? I was trying to dial back the Starbucks, so I told myself I'm not going to go to Starbucks unless I do the pay it forward. If I can't buy the person's coffee behind me, then I don't need to go buy mine myself. And I'm not saying that to brag about it. I'm saying that because I felt like God laid it on my heart that you got to start doing some things different. They don't have to know who I am. They don't have to know who you are. They don't have to know why you're doing it. You don't have to advertise it. Just do it because God's telling you to do it. And if we'll start taking God up on these opportunities and live like Jesus, instead of saying we live like Jesus, what kind of impact will we have on our kids, our families, our neighbors, our communities, our counties? You see what I mean? We have opportunity every single day, every moment of our life. So that's my challenge. As you go throughout your day, as you go throughout your week, what's God saying to you? And is it coming from God or not? You know when it's coming from God or not. If you're mad about it, it's probably not coming from God, unless you're arguing with God. I'm going to go ahead and close. And when you go to lunch today, or when you go throughout the day, the rest of the day, or dinner tonight, what about sharing with your kids or your family what God's doing in your heart right now, or what God's doing in your life right now, or what you got out of it today? You don't have to talk about me. I don't care about that. But what did you get? What did God speak to you today? And what can you carry over to the next day? So that's my challenge. Change your conversation at lunch. And then try to take that with you throughout the week. I know it's hard. It's not easy. But that's it.